Right. Hey everyone, I'm Klloo. So, Collectors Week has wrapped up, and there's unfortunately a bit of missing information that I think the majority, or at least a lot of us, was sort of expecting, right? So there hasn't been an update to print run. So we haven't gotten the data for bright lights, heavy hitters, and at least misfails should be, approximately what would have come out this year, right? Going off of previous years, which has put me in somewhat of a pickle because Master Pack Guardian's coming out in a week, so for content-wise, it's Master Pack Guardian next week and onwards. But I was sort of planning around, doing 2 to 3 videos out of the print runs, right? Going through them, breaking them down, and then speculating on what it means for the sets we're currently at. But yeah, we can't actually do that. But I thought, instead, in the spirit of Collectors Week, why don't we take a look at some interesting stuff? So, in my collection, these are the 3 pieces that I've had to buy, right? So generally, I like opening to collect, but back with crew, when I saw Cheyenne, had to get one, right? Rhino being 001, I guess is kind of a blunder because I didn't realize there was Ira as well, but I suppose Ira was also the young hero, so, this is kind of the first adult promo hero. But yeah, so Rhino and Cheyenne had to snag up, and then Inline Strike is an interesting one. So I grabbed this to complete my pink book, which is half completed, I should say, and we're awfully zoomed in, but essentially it is, the pink cards from Welcome to Rathe, which is probably, the most noticeable, notorietable addition from alpha sets, right? So I'm talking Welcome to Rathe, Arcane Rising, and even Crucible of War. The pink strips definitely stand out as something that is vastly different between them and their future counterparts. So yeah, I was then fortunate enough to actually open an Alliance Strike, which I don't think I've actually posted that video. That video was meant to be part of my 1K celebration. So also, big thanks to all of you for that. We're a little past it, and I will probably still release that at some point, but there's some other stuff that I want to do for 1K that I'm still working on because timeline for me personally has not been great, right? It was like I got sick, pets got sick, and then here we are. So yeah, we're a little behind, but again, in terms of collections, the Shine is also really nice because from the crew boxes that I've actually opened, I have actually got a crew nick, right? So it's not as fanciful because obviously it's not rainbow foil. Would have been, I don't know, I'm trying to think what addition they could have done, which, sort of leads us to the wider topic of today, which will be looking at, the nice, unique differences between some cards and some sets that we've actually gotten. But I pulled Ferndale Spring Tunic, and I think it was my 500, or it might have just been on a whim, right? Where we opened crew and we pulled a cold foil Ark Knight shard. So I do have all 3 from First Ed Crew, which is kind of cool to think about, right? Really nice. So yeah, these cards aside, let's get into the unique stuff that, might be a little bit unexpected. I'm sure some of you knew this stuff existed. Me personally, I didn't, and a lot of it's come from just sorting my wardrobes of cards, and there's some egregious things in there. I've noticed I do not care for super rares, right? So in Welcome to Rathe, going through all the early boxes, I've been finding super rares. The most egregious one was a foil First Ed Cranial Crush, right? Was in one of my just boxes of cards. So yeah, there's that. Now, in terms of other unique cards, before we get into the First Ed stuff, I do have 2 others. So I do have a Cartilage Crush, right, with a nice print streak, which definitely cool, right? It's obviously vastly off-centered, right, in comparison with it. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. It is from Welcome to Rathe Unlimited, but still a nice card. And I do have a Crimped Redan from First Ed Monarch as well. Although I would assume crimping's not as exciting because, it's not that hard to just replicate. Oh, there we go. There's the camera back. Right. So yeah, those in terms of errors cards, misprints, right? They're the only 2 I've come across in my time of opening. But yeah, going back to the card. So again, pink's definitely the standout feature, right, from Welcome to Rathe. But both Crew and Arcane Rising actually do feature differences from their following packs, not just in card variety. So for instance, for Crucible of War, the big one that probably comes to mind is the Alt Art extended, solitaire card style Twinning Blade, right? But there are actually other cards that do share unique differences between sets, right? And the majority of them are on rainbow foils, but first cool one to look at is Come Fight. So Come Fight, the rainbow foil and the non-foil actually have continuous text when it comes to the lore, right? So we have Graham the Gallant strode among the trees, tracking a hand of notorious thieves. They cowered before Graham's might. They knew that already. They lost the fight, right? So that's so cool to me, right? And it's sort of a running theme. A lot of different cards have just unique lore text in their rainbow variants. I did have some order to these, but we'll sort of skip ahead, I think. So Sleep Dart being one of them, right? So Sleep Dart from Klloo. And a lot of the arrows from Klloo, and I think Arcane Rising as well. This is the only one that I could find among the cards I've sorted so far. But Sleep Dart has its italic reminder text removed, and that is also another major feature when it comes to the differences between cards. And instead, it has a nice, again, little bit of lore text, and I think that's such a cool addition. Obviously, now we're getting the micro text boxes, so essentially it's the same sort of concept, or anything that italicized is removed. You get the normal card text, or you get it abbreviated to its keywords, and then you have the fuller art, which is definitely nice as well, but from a lore perspective, this is definitely cool to me, right? So, yeah, Sleep Dart difference there for you. Now I'll go in order, since I have the stack arranged how I was meant to present it. So, Pedal to the Metal first. So here we have 3 varieties of Pedal to the Metal. So you should be able to easily notice the difference, right? But the Rainbow Foil, Arcane Rising, no italicized text. So the Dominate, completely removed, and Boost looks kind of cool. There are a few other boost cards that look significantly better to me, right? But Pedal to the Metal as well. The defending hero can't defend Pedal to the Metal with more than 1 card from hand, right? Versus the defending hero can't defend the attack with 1 or more cards from hand. There's also in the history pack cards, which I will never touch because I don't like the white border stuff. I believe there's some that say the defending hero can't defend with more than 1 attack or defense reaction from hand, right? And there's just, or action from hand, something like that to make it a lot more detailed towards the situation. But yeah, so Predatory Assault. Similarly, right, the Rainbow Foil has the italicized text removed, but then the normal has the defending hero can't defend Predatory Assault with more than 1 card from their hand. Now, that's on a Crucible Unlimited card, whereas the Pedal to the Metals are the first ed Arcane Rising and then the Unlimited Arcane Rising, where it still, again, shares that difference. So, yeah, interesting, but getting back to the ordered list that is meant to make me keep my thoughts centered. Right, so Overloop, same sort of thing. It's another mech card in Rainbow Foil where Boost no longer is a text. Same with Locked and Loaded. But then we get to the cool ones, if you will, which are anything where it's just Boost. They now are centered, and that to me looks really, really nice, right? So here's a Cast Game of Zip Hit. Unfortunately, no playsets that I've come across just yet. So yeah, they all have Boost centered, like for instance, Snatch, Sigil of Solace. I'm trying to think of the other cards that have small enough text where LSS centered them, as opposed to, again, the normal list that we see, right, on other cards. So yeah, the mech cards from Arcane Rising to me are definitely the standout ones because they look really nice and clean, right? And it kind of would be cool to see promos like this as well, right, where it's just a keyword and then centered, or even a couple keywords and then centered. So yeah, those are definitely nice to look at, right? Following from that, we have some Runeblade cards. So Spellblade Assault, again. It has its long reminder text removed and therefore centered because it's now nice and short. So I'm also curious in that regard, right, how long the text has to be for them to go, we'll just put it in the center, because the center definitely looks nice and clean on the cards. Then we have Reduced to Rune Chance as well. So in this case, because it has the additional text up the top about its discount, right, create a rune chant isn't centered. I'd also kind of be curious if, they'd have normal text and then centered, so like the keyword up the top and then this to the left. So yeah, just mainly missing the italicized text, right, between the Rainbow Foil and the normals. Then we have Ravenous Rebel, again, right? And I also find this italicized text also really interesting because it's not on too many cards, right? The pitch value is located to the top left of the card, right? So that reminder text, I don't think it was on, what was it, Saltwater from High Seas, Seawater? No, Saltwater, Sea something, Saltwater. Either way, right? I don't think this is used too often. And in terms of cold foils, a lot of them do have that as well. So for instance, Braces of Belief has its italicized text removed. It's only Arcane Rising. I have bad luck with Arcane Rising, essentially. It's the only cold foil I've ever pulled from Arcane Rising. All my other boxes have been without a cold foil, which is a bit dismaying, but I do have, the sealed packs, right, in my frames somewhere that I've shown off before. And essentially my mentality is, well, they all have cold foils in them because they're just the ones I've never opened and they have to make up the difference, right? But yeah, so Braces of Belief, missing that text. It's not too big of a difference, but, it's still something between the first and, between all current versions and then the first time it was printed, right? Become the Ark Knight is our spec removed, which I think is an interesting one because it kind of looks a little awkward. But yeah, so Become the Ark Knight, a nice rainbow foil, and then a normal one, right? So instead of the explanation of who can only run this, we have just the Viz spec and choose one actually pushed down, right? So yeah, nice little difference there. And then I think probably the crowning or the most expensive Arcane Rising card I have is Blazing Aether, right? I believe. So Blazing Aether Rainbow Foil, again, same thing. The spec text is removed, and because there's now that room, he gets some more text, right? So, oh, you thought you were going to win. I think that's pretty prompt with what Blazing Aether does and how Kano ended up, right? So yeah, nice little bragging finisher when you play it, right? Is the first ed Rainbow Foil. Then we have Klloo, so same sort of thing. Spec is removed off of the Whirling Blossoms, right? Kind of looks nice. There's still a lot going on, so it's not a stark difference between the text, right? Then we have Emerging Dominance. Again, removing the Dominate text, or what Dominate does. So we're keeping with the other newer text. The defending hero can't defend the attack with more than one card. Then we have some heroes, so Kavdan and Benji. They're the only ones I have in both First and Unlimited, right? So again, same sort of thing. Just slim down, if you will, right? So the First Ed, and then Benji as well. But again, there's still a lot of text, so it's not that subtle of a difference where, again, it looks super clean on the boost cards. Alright, then for the Majestics, we have Twinning Blade. So, Twinning Blade, not, unfortunately, the nice, beautiful extended art, but still, Rainbow Foil First Ed, so it's missing the, you must have an action point to attack in additional time, right? Which is, I guess, pretty helpful reminder text when it comes to swinging multiple times as Warrior, but still, right, a nice, noticeable difference to some extent. Aetherize, again, kind of just getting rid of what Negate does, which is interesting because obviously Negate doesn't appear on that many cards. I think there's 3 overall. 2 that target instant, 1 that sends it back to your hand, right? But yeah, very interesting. Then we have Snag, which goes back to my favorite trend of including lore text, right? So you've got its ability reminder text removed, right? It's weird because obviously there's the keyword ones, and then there's this, which is just further clarification on these unique effects, if you will. But, right, then we have the text. Not quite the outcome you envisioned. Butcher Jack, right? Which is kind of interesting. So we have some more named characters, thanks to Snag. And then we have the weapons, right? Probably to round it out. So there's a set of Mandible Claws. I don't have a set of Centauri Sabers or Zephyr Needles, but in Klloo, right, you have the pairings of weapons. But when it comes to the Kadachi, there's 2 things going on. One, you only have the, sorry, I got a right side. Well, it depends. I guess it's what you place it. You only have one side of the Kadachis, and then the reverse was actually the promo from Welcome to Rathe, because even back then they knew Kadachi was better than Edge of Autumn, right? So, yeah, very, very curious. But then also, it should be a rare, but it's not. Well, it is, because it's still an R, but it has the grey colour, right? Instead of the nice blue circle that we have on Mandible Claw. Speaking of which, I'm very curious, because obviously with Mandible Claws, there is no way, if you lay them out like that, you're insane, right? It's always outwards. But when it comes to the Kadachis, that looks okay, and then even that looks okay, right? In fact, I kind of like that more because it's going into the person I sort of imagine the scabbard's actually on the person, right? Katsu, most likely. But yeah, there we go. There's some unique differences between the first ed cards, at least all the stuff that I've pulled out for now. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.